Well, we slap them down when they deserve it, and we praise them almost never. But we might do it tonight because I'm Scott Ott with Bill Whittle and Stephen Green, and Scott Ott has seen a movie from Hollywood that is actually awesome. And I will tell you, gentlemen, I have not gone to see a movie twice in a row intentionally in a 1 week period, maybe ever. I may have done it accidentally in the past because I had to go with my family after I'd already seen something or whatever. But this movie with Hugh Jackman, The Greatest Showman, is like great. It's an awesome movie. It's positive, it's upbeat, it's entertaining. The costumes are excellent. The choreography's terrific. The songs, every song seems like it could be like a hit. And the Great American Songbook. And I felt like, I think I've said before during our members episode last week, I felt like about halfway through the movie, I started thinking, okay, now, don't screw it up.
Yeah. Like, when is it going to turn dark?
That's right.
When do we find out about the people he's murdered or whatever? Yeah.
And I'll tell you, it's not without its messages, but the messages are universal messages of like, not being racist and things like that. But it plays not like a political messaging film. I don't know if they ever intended it that way, but it's a very entertaining picture. So Stephen Green, this is really disturbing to me. And here's why. Because now I see that they can do it.
Oh, well played, Scott.
Yeah, that's scary, isn't it? And that's not news, is it, that they can do it? It really isn't. Hollywood had a
breaking news
great
from 1937.
Yeah, or even 1957 and probably 1967. I think Sound of Music came out in, 64, 63, somewhere around then. So it's all right. Here's the thing. I don't want to find out reading the news 6 weeks from now that Hugh Jackman was molesting the bearded lady on the set. I don't
think you will.
No,
he kissed her, hugged her, and danced with her.
He seems like a good guy in real life, and I really hope that's true. But we've missed something in Hollywood. You know, we talk about the long march through the institutions that started in the 1950s, where the radical left, the professional left, infested the universities and the news media, and especially Hollywood. Now, the old studio moguls that created Hollywood back in the 20s and 30s, these guys were deeply cynical. They were in this to make a buck, and so they catered to their audience's taste. They produced, I think the cynical version I heard of it was the old studio system was Jewish studios producing Catholic values for Protestant audiences, but it worked, and it was wholesome entertainment. I don't believe everything needs to be G-rated family fun, because I like some really dark stuff myself. But that said, Hollywood used to know how to do this. They still know how to do this, but for the most part, the Hollywood studios are so philosophically corrupt that mostly they refuse to do it. And that's why I hope this thing goes gangbusters, Scott, because whenever we have one of these sleeper hits, one of these unexpected blockbuster hits, it's never something like a Caligula or an Abel Ferrara movie. It's always something that people want to take their families to see over and over again. Maybe this will be that.
Bill Whittle, my 22-year-old daughter, told me after the film, I had seen it with my wife first, and then we went to see it again with Haley and Jonah. And Haley told me after the movie that for the first 15 or 20 minutes of the movie, she was crying. Oh. And, like first 15 or 20, not at the climax at the end of it. And in many ways, so was I, because I knew what was coming. Like, I already knew that it was a great movie. So I started to well up early on in the film, kind of like when I watch It's a Wonderful Life. But it's not just the fact that it's a, fairly clean movie. I think, Bill, this idea of entertainment being something that when it's done, you feel better than you felt before is It's just shocking to me. Why is it so difficult to do this out where you live in the snow-covered hills of Los Angeles?
My wife is from Russia, and she says the one thing that she never ever gets over, she probably never will, was how friendly the American people are anywhere, in a line at a gas station, in the grocery store, wherever she runs into them. She simply can't believe it. For a year, she thought it was kind of just fake, but no, it's real. And so my first answer to this would be, it's like what the engineers and software engineers say, right? Garbage in, garbage out. That's basically what happens. I'm sure you remember the horrible feelings that were engendered by that Christmas classic, "It's a Meaningless Life" by Roger Stone. By Oliver Stone. But yeah, really, it's serious but not serious. It's like, "It's a Meaningless Life." It's a by Oliver Stone is. What kind of society do you get when those are the films that are made? And that's essentially what we've been seeing for the longest time. There are two things about this that are really interesting to me. But the one first of all, I think that Hugh Jackman is in fact a really good guy. So. He's been married to the same woman for a long time. And you know what? Even if he's not, it's okay. It's disappointing, but it doesn't affect the movie. People like to feel good about things. And I saw Les Miserables on Broadway twice. They just closed a production about a year ago. By far the best thing I've ever seen of any kind of entertainment anywhere.
Absolutely.
Ever.
Yeah.
Without question. And as I was coming out of the theater in the lobby, and everybody's been weeping. You simply cannot get through that without just if you have a heart and a soul, you're just bawling at the end of this thing. And it occurred to me as I was walking out into the streets of New York City that on some level, the actual reality is in the building behind me, and that the world that I'm walking out into, our everyday world, is in fact a kind of a sleepwalk. Because in that show, in Les Miserables, is every human relationship. There's a father-son relationship, a father-daughter relationship, a lover relationship, an enemy relationship. Everything is in there, everything. Yeah. And the emotions are so heightened, and your feelings are so engaged, and you're just operating on such a level of experience that it really made me realize that this idea that the theater is the play world, and then the actual world is out here. In the case of exceptional entertainment, that can be backwards.
Exactly.
Exceptional entertainment can leave you walking out of a theater with the sense that what I just saw was the reality of the human condition, and the hour or two I just spent in there were the hour or two where I was really alive in a way that I'm not out there in the world. So yes, by God, I haven't seen it, but I'm definitely going to go based on your recommendation. And this is why we have the art form, right? This is why we have an art form. This is why Shakespeare is Shakespeare and all the rest of it.
Well, and you point out something, especially when you reference It's a Wonderful Life, which for years has been my favorite movie ever. And I hadn't thought about it in these terms yet, but like It's a Wonderful Life, The Greatest Showman is not just a bunch of Pollyanna, happy-go-lucky, lemonade stand, everything's fine kind of thing. It's actually a series of unfortunate events. It deals with poverty and racism and shame and bankruptcy and disaster and, temptation and, public humiliation, all of this. And the human spirit triumphs, for want of a better term. And you come out of there thinking, it's not, you don't apply it directly. You don't go, hey, he's like me, but there's something inside of you that says, yeah, it's good to have a dream, and we can persist, and we can keep going, and we can, we can have a better life than we now have. And I'm happy that I just spent an hour and a half to 2 hours of my life with these characters. I can't explain to you how motivating that is without you actually, seeing it yourself. I'd go to see it. I'd go to see it again.
I'd just like to add one thing. I'm sorry to interrupt you,
No.
but I'm deeply indebted to Lionel Chetwynd for this insight. I have on many occasions said that It's a Wonderful Life is the most political movie that I've ever seen. And there's no politics in the movie.
Yeah.
But this is Lionel's breakdown. And very, very quickly in a nutshell, basically what he said is this is old Hollywood as well as opposed to new Hollywood. He said, if you look at It's a Wonderful Life, Bedford Falls is America. And Bedford Falls is a good place. And the reason it's a good place is because good people are in it. And when you take the virtuous man out, when you take George Bailey out of Bedford Falls, it becomes Potterville. That's not its natural state. It's not naturally an evil place. It's naturally a good place because of the virtue of the people in it. And when you take the goodness and the virtue out of America, that's when you're left with America that becomes Potterville and all of these strip clubs and all of this, avarice and all the rest. But the natural state of America is Bedford Falls because of the virtue. And when you put the virtue back in at the end of the movie, you're not changing it. It's not a pipe dream. You're restoring it to its default condition. You're restoring it to the way it's supposed to be. And that I thought was such a profound insight. I didn't want to let It's a Wonderful Life go without saying that. And again, enormous insight on the part of Lionel Chetwynd, who I admire very much. Yeah.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I think you know what I want you to do now, and I don't receive I don't receive any kind of royalty from whoever the film company is that released this movie, and I have no insight into it beyond the average theater goer who wanders into something that just blew me away. Now, if you're a cynical character who can't watch anything without parsing everything about it, then for just this little window in time, suspend your disbelief and let yourself get absorbed in the theater, like I did, Bill, when I went to see in Washington, D.C., Les Miserables. When they got to the part at the end where everybody sings, "Will you join in our crusade?" If I had not been sitting in the balcony, I would have been on the stage.
I know. Yeah.
I mean, I would have joined in their crusade. Like, I had completely lost touch with reality, and I was swept up in that moment. And I encourage you, if it's not this movie, find something in the arts or in literature or in dance or in theater that will allow you to be swept up beyond the constraints of this mortal coil, that you can glimpse the as Winston Churchill used to call them, the sunlit uplands. Go to see The Greatest Showman. Let us know in this comment section what you thought of it, but encourage Hollywood in doing more of this stuff. Take your $10 and put it on the line so that they can go, hey, people like this. Maybe we should do more. For Bill Whittle and Stephen Green, I'm Scott Ott. Thanks to the team at BillWhittle.com and the members thereof for making Right Angle possible.